Everyone wants to know what is the best martial art for street fighting and self-defense. In this video, I'm going to give you the absolute truth, not based on opinion, ego, or tradition, but on cold, hard facts. Let's check it out. The reason why people keep asking this question is simple. Most of what's out there is garbage, delusional, and flat out wrong, sold by instructors who wouldn't survive 5 seconds of real violence. In fact, in my video titled Martial Arts Challenge, Prove Your Style Works, I gave every one of these self-appointed experts a chance to step up and show how street effective their style or system really is. Nearly 4,000 people watched that challenge, and not a single video was submitted. Not one. That tells you everything you need to know about the gap between what people claim online and what they can actually produce when the spotlight's on them. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the metrics you need to evaluate any martial art for real street fighting and self-defense. This is especially important if you're shopping around for a martial art or if you're looking at your current system and quietly wondering whether you've been spending your time and money wisely or just bankrolling some clown's belt promotion side hustle. Before I start naming martial arts, we need to establish the metrics, the objective standards used to evaluate whether a martial arts style or system is actually effective for all real-world street fighting scenarios. And let me be very clear, what you're about to see is just a sample of the full evaluation matrix. The complete CFA Street Combat Evaluation Matrix contains well over 100 real-world requirements. Here's the part most people do not understand. A martial art does not need to meet all 100 metrics to be street capable. It doesn't even need to meet half. If a system could satisfy even a fraction of these requirements, it would already be far ahead of the rest of the martial arts world. But the reality is this: no martial art on earth, even the popular ones, meets them. Not even close. But there is only one system that satisfies the full spectrum, and I'll show you exactly why. And for my War Machine Vanguard and Elite members, I've included a free downloadable PDF titled CFA Street Combat Evaluation Matrix. This document lays out the exact metrics that contemporary fighting arts is built on, the same requirements CFA was specifically engineered to meet for real street fighting and self-defense. You'll find the PDF in the members only section of this channel. If you're serious about your training, it's a powerful tool for understanding exactly what a true street effective martial art must include. And if you're not already a War Machine member, click the join button below to see all the membership options we have available. Let's start with size disparity, because this is where most martial arts quietly die. In the real world, the person attacking you is almost always bigger and stronger. That's why they chose you. And the moment you introduce that reality, entire martial arts systems collapse. Boxing, Muay Thai, and MMA survive only because of weight classes. Remove them and their success rate drops off a freaking cliff. Their techniques, strategies, and assumptions all depend on fighting someone roughly your own size. But real violence doesn't give a shit about weight class. It gives you a vicious predator. If your martial art fails the moment the attacker outweighs you, then it's not a self-defense system. It's a controlled sport with a comforting rule set. Nothing reveals combat truth faster than size disparity. It strips away fantasy, ego, and choreography in seconds, and most martial arts simply disintegrate under it. The next metric is weapons hierarchy, and this is where every single martial art collapses instantly. Real violence doesn't limit itself to empty hand techniques. It spans the entire spectrum of force, from intermediate tools like kubatans tactical flashlights, and makeshift weapons, all the way to pepper spray, edge weapons, blunt force instruments, and firearms. Yet martial arts treat weapons as if they exist in isolated categories. They either teach none at all, or they cherry pick a single specialty while ignoring the rest. Some martial arts dabble in knives, a few play with sticks, others gesture vaguely towards improvised weapons. And yes, here and there you're going to find modern combative groups that add a little firearms training into their curriculum. But here's the critical point. No mainstream martial art on earth integrates firearms as a core component of its system, except for one: contemporary fighting arts. If a martial arts system can only function at one level of force, it is not a self-defense system. It's a narrow discipline masquerading as a complete solution.
From the ancient Colosseum, where gladiators lived and died, to the storm-torn seas, where iron met flesh upon shattered decks, to the battlefield, where wrath carved kingdoms in blood, bone, and steel, we follow the War Machine. War Machine Chronicles celebrates the warrior archetype, the ethos society seeks to suppress, to soften, to erase. From the age of iron and blood, where warriors roared defiance in the face of death, to all men who still feel the war drum beat beneath their skin, written for fighters, soldiers, and survivors. For those who still walk the edge, it is transformation, forged to harden the mind, discipline the body, and sharpen the will. War Machine Chronicles, not just a book, it's a sacred codex of wrath. Over 300 pages, more than 100 haunting illustrations, combat verse, and lethal philosophy forged by Sammy Franco. War Machine Chronicles, not just a story, but a weapon. It teaches, it tests, it transforms. War Machine Chronicles, available now on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle.
Another critical metric is gross motor skill combat methodology. And this is where every martial art quietly exposes their own delusions. In real violence, your fine motor skills collapse, your coordination drops, and your nervous system enters a state of chaos. Yet most martial arts still rely on techniques that demand precision. Perfect angles, exact foot placement, sequential combinations, clean joint locks, elaborate takedowns, or submission mechanics that simply do not survive an adrenaline dump. The moment the human body enters fight or flight, those skills vanish, and the systems built on them vanish right along with it. Gross motor skills operate on the opposite principle: simple, primal, destructive mechanics that function under maximum stress. Raking, clawing, gouging, quarter beat striking, explosive facial destruction, tactical biting, these aren't pretty and they're not meant to be. They are high-yield actions that bypass strength disparities and remain fully functional when your vision tunnels, your heart rate spikes, and your body is fighting to stay alive. If a martial art cannot operate entirely on gross motor skill mechanics, it cannot operate under real-world violence, period. One of the most devastating metrics for martial arts is pre-contact methodology, because this is where real violence actually begins, and where every system is completely blind. Martial arts teach people what to do after a fight starts, and even that is questionable. But real predators don't square up like a sparring match. They use body language, micro gestures, deceptive dialogue, setups, and ambush positioning. Most martial artists wouldn't recognize a pre-attack indicator if it was sitting on their face because they've never been trained to read human predatory behavior in the first place. Threat assessment is also absent. Both martial arts and sport combat systems teach techniques and drills, but nothing about behavioral analysis, spatial control, crowd dynamics, or intent reading. They don't teach students how violence actually forms, escalates, or signals itself before the first strike. In the real world, the fight is usually decided before it becomes physical. If your martial art begins at contact, you're already too late. Hey, we're about to get back into the video, but let me ask you something. Do you want to legitimately accelerate your self-defense skills? And are you sick of clickbait videos teaching absolute garbage? Or tired of being misled by unqualified, wannabe experts who have zero credibility or experience? If the answer is yes, now is the time to join my War Machine memberships. As a member, you're going to get exclusive access to in-depth training videos, exclusive full-feature video content, downloadable training PDFs, and direct insights you're not going to find anywhere else. Plus, you're going to have direct access to me in the comments section of all my videos. So if you have questions, you're going to get real, detailed answers from me and not some random keyboard warrior. So if you're serious about mastering real-world combat skills, hit the join button below and start training like a true war machine. Now, let's get back to the lesson. Now that you've been exposed to just 4 metrics, something should already be obvious. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Every martial art out there fails against these real-world requirements. All of them. I'm talking about karate, Filipino martial arts, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, Krav Maga, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, MMA. Every one of them fails the metric test because none were built to face real criminal intent, real weapons, real ambushes, real adrenaline, or real consequences. And before anyone feels left out, relax. This includes every branch of Kung Fu, every flavor of karate, every form of kickboxing, every Aikido lineage, and every tradition or sport variant that people try to pass off as street effective. And it's not personal, it's factual. You can't give what you don't have. There is only one martial art that meets every requirement on the matrix, and that's contemporary fighting arts. Because CFA wasn't adapted from anything. It was engineered for the street from day one. And for the delusional people out there who proudly announce, well, I train a little of this and I mix a little bit of that and I add some of this style into that, as if throwing random techniques into a blender somehow produces a real street fighting system. What they actually have is a Frankenstein mess. Disconnected parts from incompatible arts, glued together by wishful thinking and YouTube confidence. Nothing matches, nothing integrates, and nothing functions under real violence. But they convince themselves they've built a complete system because it feels better than admitting they're improvising with scraps. A handful of mismatched martial arts isn't a system. It's a hobbyist collage. There's no unified doctrine, no structural logic, no tactical through line, and no pressure-tested architecture behind it. It's just patchwork. That's why contemporary fighting arts stands alone. It's not assembled, it's engineered. It's one system, cohesive, integrated, and built from the ground up for all forms of violent human behavior. Everything else is just a collection of parts pretending to be a machine. Contemporary fighting arts isn't a collection of techniques. It's a fully engineered combat architecture. It was designed from the ground up to satisfy every metric in the evaluation matrix. The 4 you saw today, plus over 100 more. Not adapted from sport, not carved from tradition, not stitched together from other styles. It's a complete, unified combat system built specifically for real-world violence. And that's why when you apply real-world metrics, every martial art fails except the one that was created to meet them from day one: contemporary fighting arts. Look, you can believe whatever you want about your martial art. The internet will always reassure you. Your instructor will always applaud you. But the street has no applause, just outcomes. And when you measure those outcomes against real-world metrics, every martial art fails but one: contemporary fighting arts. If you're serious about your safety, start training in something built for the real world, not built for the dojo. If not, just keep typing. The street's not going to argue with you. It's just going to end the discussion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.